Hi, friends. Hello, the world. Welcome back to this episode of Complaint Free Life. And I'm greeting you from Italy. So, the topic that I want to talk to you today about is the topic of um, dependent. And it's more like a feeling of dependent, but also maybe it's something that could define your life in this current moment. And the reason that I wanted to talk to you about it is because last time when we were online with my fellow coach on humanitarian law, we were talking about avoidance strategy and how the avoiding something, some kind of feeling or being hurt or fear, whatever the thing that we're avoiding, may actually lead to you trying to find another dependency to depend on. And I want to elaborate that concept a bit further for you to have a look and reflect on your life as to where you are, especially in context of transitioning, where you have the desire to want to transition, you want to do something else, but you feel like you really depend on whatever you're doing now or whatever your circumstances now. So as such, I don't really find that a problem that we want to be dependent on certain circumstances, on certain environments, certain work areas, having the stability and privileges and status and whatever we want to. And a lot of people choose to be in that state, wanting to be there, wanting to be part of the community, and that's amazing. That's something that I applaud that you do. But the problem may start is actually when we're doing that in order to avoid something else that we actually wanted to do in life, but we're not doing it. Therefore, we continue feeling dependent on something else that we don't really like, right? So the typical examples that I hear and talk to people about, especially in the humanitarian setting, is that they really want to do something else in life or they want to lead another different life, but they're afraid of transitioning, they're afraid of failing, they're afraid of things not working out. They avoid those feelings or they're afraid of discomfort, right? The uncertainty. And because they're avoiding those things, they tend to then attach themselves to whatever they are and saying that this is the only thing I know how it works, or this is the only thing I can make it work. So the areas that I was thinking of where we create these dependency so strongly when we're avoiding feeling discomfort, feeling transitioning, or feeling the fear of transitioning, uh, avoiding uncertainty, the ways that we make ourselves dependent on the work, oftentimes, right, saying that this is the only thing we can do, or the stability that this work offers, privileges, status that this work offers, or the power that this work offers, or the money that it does. And we always tend to then say that, well, because of this, I can't really go and do something else. Because of this, I can't really do. So you can see that we tend to um, even transition. Sometimes we try to transition to another thing, but from the mindset of believing that it can't work, we're not going to make it work. Let's see what happens, but I'm not really sure it's going to work out. This type of mindset, and whenever we're doing that, and we're feeling already dependent or so attached to what we have currently that we don't allow ourselves to go and explore anything else. The problem also with that dependency is that whenever we're feeling dependent, we're also feeling obligated to be doing that work because we don't have alternatives, right? So that's why we have to do things, we have to work hard, we have to do this, we have to do that, and not really doing it because we love doing it, but because this is how it is. I signed a contract or I committed to doing this, so I have to do it, and then continue forcing ourselves to do something that we don't really like because of the feeling of dependent on that environment while trying to suppress or ignore the desire of something else. So you can see that we're trying to somehow be here and do our work and get things done, at the same time trying to suppress something else that we're really wanting. And both of the like struggling and handling both of them sound very stressful and fatiguing, and then soon we realize that we're actually so exhausted, but we also feel like we have no other choice but to keep doing it. And whenever we're in that state, then actually whatever we're doing, we may not really see the joy in it. We may not really want to continue this way. We don't really see the long-term future of it, but we tend to like struggle through and survive through, and then try to get things done barely so that we can just go home and rest. So you can see that the whole point of doing this episode is for me to demonstrate that whenever you're avoiding one fear of transitioning, fear of failing, fear of unpredictability, and unclarity, whatever it is that we're feeling, in order to avoid that, we're creating so much more struggle here in our current life, right? So, and we believed at the time that if we avoid that, then we'll be fine here, having our stability, having our job, and having our privileges and all of these things. But what happens is that the deep desire continues to surface once in a while or all of the time, right? The deep desire to want to spend our lives with our loved ones, or deep desire to be doing something else that really makes sense to us, or a deep desire of fulfilling job or fulfilling work or fulfilling calling, whatever the one that we want to do, keeps calling us, keeps reminding us and nagging us. And we tend to suppress that and try to like our current circumstances as much as possible and not managing to do that. So if you might be in this situation where you're having this nagging desire of wanting to transition, wanting to do something else, but you're afraid of pursuing it because of the unpredictability, because of a lack of stability, because of fear of failing and all of these things, then notice that what is the consequence of you avoiding that and being in your current life. And I'm assuming the consequence is that you're not really liking what you're currently doing either. You're not really enjoying doing what you're doing, or you're not really enjoying that stability, that work, that money, that power and privileges. Or maybe if you do, then the liking then subsides, and then you start feeling like, I can't believe this is what I'm doing, but I'll have to do it, right? So all of that might be happening simply because you're trying to avoid that transitioning. You're trying to avoid that fear. You're trying to avoid that unpredictability, and creating all kinds of different other negative feelings here and trying to deal with that. Instead, what you could simply do is sit whatever the desire that you're having and think of how you could pursue them and continue dealing with those feelings that come up after dealing with those desires, or when you decide that, okay, I want to transition, I want to do something else that I really want to do. I will do my best to make things work and overcome challenges. If you do that, then you will probably have to also struggle and process through emotions, but at least you're pursuing towards the things that you love doing, you love exploring, rather than trying to fix something that you don't even want to fix to begin with. You know what I'm saying? So the whole purpose of me talking about dependent feeling, where the feeling is not of freedom within you, the you don't have the feeling of peace, the freedom within you to be doing and pursuing what you actually love. Instead, you're trying to fix what you don't even want to fix. Then it might be the reason why you're doing it is because you're trying to avoid something else. So this is what I have learned in life, is that whatever we try to avoid, we actually create a lot more struggle for ourselves to avoid whatever we're trying to avoid than actually when we decided to pursue and go through whatever we're trying to avoid. And this is really the message that I want to bring to your attention. And, you know, as I always say, that don't take my words for it. You observe it with your own life and see how that is. Because this is how it has always been for my life, is that whatever I was trying to avoid, feeling hurt or feeling uh, unpredictability or feeling failing, a fear of failing, whatever it is that I'm fearing, then I try to go to something else and try to attach myself to it and say, no, I can't really let this go, because if I go back or if I go to the area that I'm trying to avoid, then I will suffer. But actually, I'm suffering from attaching myself to wherever my current situation is and creating more suffering, which then in the end don't lead to anything constructive, because I'm just simply trying to fix things, trying to react to things, trying to just get by or survive, while going to all the things that I'm actually avoiding, going to feeling fear, going to feeling unpredictability, feeling um, failing, fear of failing, whatever it is that I'm fearing. If I go to that and pursue that, even if there will be suffering associated with it, it will be leading you up to having something tangible in the end, having something to be proud of, right? It's a bit like, I guess the analogy that you could think of is uh, people buying houses with mortgages, right? In the meantime, when they're paying the mortgages, they may suffer a lot, and they continue maybe doing that for some time in order to buy a house. But they know that they are investing in something, right? They know that they will in the end have something tangible. But I fear that whenever we're avoiding those fear of failing, fear of unpredictability, fear of transitioning, what we're actually doing is we're trying to invest in something that in the end we don't really get anything from it. Instead, what we may get is a lot of the nerve-wracking or trying to solve all of this once piece at a time and then keep solving it. And in the end, we don't even really like what we're solving. Do you know what I mean? Okay. So, having said all of this, my dear friends, if you're trying to be brave and go for transitioning and stop avoiding feelings and just face the fear and grow that desire and pursue that desire, then all I can say is you won't miss anything, or you won't regret, because avoiding creates even more damage than when you just face the fear. And try that out in any circumstance that you have now, in anywhere that you're feeling like you are avoiding something. For instance, maybe you're avoiding breaking up in a relationship, you're avoiding I don't know, saying what you really want to someone that you're in a relationship, or you're avoiding um, expressing your views because you feel like they're gonna be antagonist, whatever it is, instead of avoiding, just practice bravery, courage, and express it. Practice courage and honesty to say what you really want to say, or break up the relationship or start a relationship. Whatever it is that you're pursuing, the desire you want to have, or the whatever is you're wanting to express to the outside world, start doing that step now and face that fear. The more of that fear you may face, the more muscle you may build within yourself to start trusting yourself that you can actually be honest with yourself. You can actually honor your deep desires, and you can actually decide that this is what you want to do and you go for it. And then you even realize, I don't even know what I was actually avoiding all this time. So don't avoid it. No reason to avoid anything, because whatever they think that you're avoiding is actually creating you more damage by making you feel attached to something else so that you don't have to go and face the fear. And the more you do that, you will actually create more attachment, you will create more dependency, you will create the feeling of obligation because you feel dependent on that, and you feel like you don't have any other options, which is not the case. Everyone in every situation has options if you allow yourself to see that. And that's all I want to say is that whatever the feeling of dependency that you're feeling now, whether it's to your work, to money that you're earning, to the stability, whatever it is, and you feel like that's the only thing available to you, and you just need to keep um, fixing it. Ask yourself, what is it that you're avoiding? What is that desire that you're avoiding that needs to come to the surface? What is the wish that you're avoiding? And have a look at that desire and that wish. And ask yourself, if you pursue that, what difficulties would you face? And you will write down all the difficulties that you can imagine. And then ask yourself, if you are capable, if you trust yourself to solve those difficulties, would you go for it? Because you're already solving and troubleshooting a lot of the things currently. So if you're good at doing that now, why wouldn't you do something else in order to actually achieve what you're really wanting, right? So I rather you work through all the difficulties in order to achieve the desired the goal you want, instead of keep fixing, reacting to things that you don't even want to be fixing because you don't see the point. Okay. Having said that, if you have any questions, if you want to explore more about your own feeling of dependency from things that you don't really want to be depending on, and you want to explore what to do about it in your specific unique situation, you let me know for coaching. I would love to coach you. So until then, stay safe and have an amazing week.